So you guys put this together, and then you get your first deal with Def Jam Records.
You really can't say a we thing. That was really a Chuck D at the head, bringing flavor. I worked with Hank and Keith and Spectrum City. We kind of came together. So, yeah, the deal that was actually signed with Def Jam was Chuck and Flavor. No one else.
Okay. Now, I'd heard, because I remember I read Chuck D's book, I guess Rick Rubin didn't want Flavor Flav in the group. He didn't get it.
Right. No one wanted Flavor. Russell wasn't even on the set. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but Rick didn't want him because he didn't understand it. And it wasn't meant for anybody to understand. We were doing something new. You understand what I'm saying? Ain't nobody brought no damn uzis on stage and talking black power and that kind of stuff prior to Public Enemy. Wasn't nothing black going on. That's when I hear these cats now, and I'm like, bruh, no. You understand what I'm saying? And it wasn't about being violent. It wasn't about being aggressive towards white America. It was about holding up the mirror to white America and saying, look, this is what you kind of created. This is what's going on out there. We're trying to come up with a solution to a problem that you created.
So Chuck signs Public Enemy to Def Jam. You guys drop Yo Bum Rush the Show.
Right.
And it does well, but not like Nation of Millions well. But Nation of Millions ends up going crazy.
Yeah, but does well according to what standard? If your goal is to come in the industry for 2 years, shake it up and get out. And during the course of this interview, from this day forward, we have to keep that in mind. It was a 2-year project. Whether we lived or died, we was gonna shake it up. So Yo Bum Rush the Show was like, okay. It wasn't until Rebel Without a Pause, that wasn't even on that album, that things start to start moving. Yeah.
Okay. Now, as the first record deal, you know, when you go and release the first album, Yo Bum Rush the Show, what exactly is your role in Public Enemy?
Wow, you got a pen and pad?
Yep.
I was the Minister of Information, and I would kind of gather the information and just kind of funnel it and channel it to Chuck. I tried to with Flavor. Me, different aspects and members of the Bomb Squad would have those discussions. And those are some of the things that formulated the songs. So when you don't see my name on the song, it doesn't mean I didn't contribute. You understand what I'm saying? My name might not be on this interview, but I'm contributing. But the music industry would not give me credit for that. It's not something I'm gonna get a royalty check for. But that made up the spirit and the mindset of what we were dealing with at that particular time. And we can't discount that. You understand what I'm saying? When I'm asked sometime, well, what are you? I'm a spirit being having a human experience. I'm God having a human experience. You understand what I'm saying? So the aspect of the songs and the ideas and that kind of thing, a lot of times and most times came from discussions, debates within inside the group on political, different viewpoints and that kind of different perspectives. But I was funneling and channeling information. I was a reader. I did research. Then on top of that, I was the road manager. Then on top of that, I was the leader of the security of the First World. Then on top of that, the whole choreograph thing and the whole, so I wore like 4 or 5 hats, not to take anything away from anybody else. That's what I did. So when people say, how did Public Enemy get started? That's a conversation we need to have like we're having now, because people don't know. That corny fucking story that Def Jam tells, please say that shit.
Right, and the S1Ws, they were on stage with Public Enemy, and it was kind of like a military type thing that you guys were presenting.
Yeah, we weren't coming doing no damn dancing. Hell nah, it was serious time. This is desperate times call for desperate measures. And we wanted to show America that we weren't playing. And this ain't no goddamn act.
The second album comes together, Nation of Millions. When you guys were working on it, did you have any idea how big it was going to be?
No, because at that time, we were preparing to make the exit because the 2 years was almost up. But Rebel did so well, we was like, okay, now we got the formula, let's make it happen. And the limited amount of times I did kind of sit in on those long sessions, that creative stuff, you got to give credit to Hank, Chuck, Keith, Eric, Johnny Juice, and a few other people that was up there, Rick Rubin, of course, and those dynamic engineers that sat behind the board, man, for all them hours, just like, you know, just having Chuck in one ear and Hank in the other ear, and you putting in 20 samples, and it don't seem like it's going together, but it worked, man. But you never know how that stuff is going to be received.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I interviewed Russell Simmons, maybe about a year ago or so. Mm-hmm. I mean, he said that
he wasn't really ready to make the next Public Enemy because they didn't want nobody near them. They were like, get the fuck away from us, all of you niggas. And they made the second Public Enemy album, was the greatest record Def Jam ever made.
Yeah, incredible album.
That's the best record. My Def Jam record that album is great. The one after it was great too. Public Enemy made
it takes a Nation of Millions.
Defined Def Jam, in my opinion.
It Takes a Nation of Millions. Was the second album? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't fuck with that.
No.
Oh, I don't think fucks with that is Ice Cube's America's Most Wanted.
Most Wanted, yeah.
It's in the same category. That's them. They made it.
The same producers, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Them the niggas that made Def Jam more than anybody, the Bomb Squad, because they didn't make rock and roll or rap or mix it or what. They said, fuck that, we're gonna make some new shit.
Straight hip hop. Well, yes.
Beastie Boys had that in their second album too, which kind of would have really fit on Def Jam.
Musically, what you guys put together was just on a completely different level.
Yeah, and you're talking about, and we thank Russell for that, but you're talking about years and years of listening to what our parents were playing in the home. Everything from Al Green to Dramatics, Temptations, Tower of Power, Mighty Clouds of Joy, all kind of stuff. So when you listen to a Public Enemy song, shit, you might hear anything, a damn toilet flushing, a scream, a laugh, or whatever. And then on top of that, you heard Malcolm X, Dr. King, Jesse Jackson, Minister Farrakhan, the Black Panther Party. Then on top of that, by the time you got to the show, it was like uzis and marching and drilling and flavor all over the place. Then on top of that, Chuck's voice, you understand what I'm saying? And the lyrics, and people resonated with it. It worked.
If you look at HipHop Today, for example, and you look at the subject matter, the prominent subject matter in most hip-hop songs today is very different than the mid-90s, the early 90s, like 92, 93, when Public Enemy was at its height. It was just a different mind state at the time.
Right, because America was different. Because you kind of figure mid-80s, 86, 85, 86, you had AIDS, Africans in deep shit, or America's doing the shit, and crack, chemical and biological warfare hit at the same time. So yeah, things were going to be different. So we came up out of the turbulent, born in the 60s, came through the whack-ass fucking 70s with disco, where they crushed everything culturally speaking, and that cultural expression. So by the time late 70s hit, we were dancing in the street and spinning our heads on cardboard boxes with boom boxes, wearing what we thought was hip-hop gear. You understand what I'm saying? By the time 80s hit, we thoroughly got a grasp on it, and we said, okay, we about to bring the pain. Then America came with the chemical and biological warfare, with crack and AIDS, and we said, okay, we got a fight on our hands, so let's bring it. And we did, and we gave birth to a cultural, positive, conscious renaissance at that time. Queen Latifah, KRS-One, Brand Nubians, Poor Righteous Teachers. I mean, Lakim Shabazz preceded that, but there was a few other groups that came out that was extremely positive.
Yeah, I mean, Poor Righteous Teachers, Brand Nubian, like it was a lot. It was a lot during that time.
Exactly. So the women that didn't grab a hold of that stayed on crack, stayed on drugs, did all this stuff. And those are the women that gave birth to the MCs or the rappers that you see today. Drug-induced, trauma base. And that's what you're hearing.